Andrew Tate getting knocked out is kind of funny. But I think the only reason people find it funny is because he built a huge narrative and character as a person. I don't think a lot of people realize that he's probably one of the smartest marketing people that I've ever seen, because he just did everything right. And like, whether you like or don't like anything he's ever said or who he is or whatever, I don't care either. But, if someone is able to convince a lot of people that he has power and he has all these things, and he starts being just like a celebrity without really having any like actual background in being a celebrity. He understood what the game is of manipulating people's emotions, getting people to talk, giving controversial takes. Like, he has the understanding on how to do things at a higher level. So, we can give that to him, I guess. But, when you build your character up so much and, you end up getting clocked in on a fight. I mean, everybody wins and everyone loses, so I don't think that that's the real takeaway from it. I think it's just, after a certain point, if you really want to keep up the persona that you have, then it's going to come at a fault. And putting yourself in positions where that ego is going to get killed, or it's going to get a lot of scrutiny because of who you've established yourself as. Nothing I have to say, nothing anyone has to say will stop him from making money, being treated like a celebrity, whatever else it is. But this is the whole point, is that someone who can pretty much come out of the blue with a very intact marketing strat to build their own personal brand, like, that's really the only thing I can give to him. And I still take notes on that in a way, because he's basically still an orchestrated celebrity. And orchestrated meaning that he had a real direct plan to get to a certain place. And, that's what came with all the extra narrative and all the BS that came along with it. But never let your emotions stop you from trying to understand how somebody did something and accomplished something, because he's still making bread and he's got the foundation to always be able to make it. I think that's something a lot of people have a hard time establishing, or have not established, even if they've been around and have had a brand for 5-10 years in whatever specific smaller industry that you could talk about. So always be willing to learn from people who are able to find out a way to do something at a much bigger level. And I think that's where, that's the whole point. If you could understand how people do things at a higher level, regardless of whether it's him, then you would understand certain things have to be done so that the game can be played. Because the game, in reference, is the top end part of what is fed to the masses, because that's what we live in a consumptive world, from propaganda, media, whatever else is put in front of your face, ads, etc., and what narrative gets spun amongst all of that. At the end of the day, if you can understand how to fit yourself in a certain place on that structure, some people have literally gotten killed for that type of thing, by the way. And I can name a few, but I just won't name anybody at the moment. And that's where the whole scandal, I'm pretty sure, came with at the end of the day, that he was doing things that cracked him into a certain place. And that's where all of this, it comes with public scrutiny, but it doesn't really matter. Cancel culture is just another avenue for someone to be able to gain power. Having people speak about you, talk about you, inflates the energetic presence of your existence, and that is what elevates you to be able to take energy and do other things with it. And, I always try to study some aspect of people that always can do that, because there are a lot of intricate lessons and disciplined lessons to be able to see what actually is going on and see them beyond whatever it is they're telling you in your face. Because when people get stopped at what they get told in front of their face, and then just make an opinion and don't see anything behind it, it's like that's when you're caught in the lower denominational part of how things are structured. So still back to the fight, I think it's funny to some degree, but it's just having such a very, very intricate character built around being strong, big guy out here, it's going to end up tying back into having moments where you try to put yourself out there and you have to take a public L. And I don't think that there's anything else to be said about Mr. Andrew Tate. He's done a lot of really goofy things, and the only way he's at this point going to keep popping back into the feed and all that kind of stuff is just doing the celebrity washed based stuff. You know, he lost a fight, whatever. Like it he's gonna come out and then what? He wins one and then has a whole bout of like trying to talk like a WWE character in a video. Because I mean, that's pretty much what it feels like. Is he just tries to present himself like a WWE? You know what, Andrew Tate, go for the WWE. You should probably do that. Like, it gives me Alberto Del Rio type vibes. Haven't watched in a long time. Just if you know, you know.